The World Health Organization is expressing grave concern over the rapid spread of Ebola in eastern Congo. With the death toll reaching 131, officials warn that current containment efforts are failing to match the speed of the virus. This surge threatens to overwhelm regional health systems and risks a wider humanitarian crisis if not immediately addressed. President Trump has called off a planned major military operation against Iran, opting for a temporary reprieve. The administration remains prepared to launch strikes if Tehran refuses to abandon its nuclear weapons development. This standoff keeps the region on high alert as the U.S. monitors Iran's compliance with international nuclear standards. Iran has issued a new proposal for peace that includes a demand for U.S. troop withdrawals and financial reparations for wartime damages. The proposal comes as the death toll in Lebanon surpasses 3,000, further complicating diplomatic efforts. The U.S. continues to warn that failure to reach a resolution will result in intensified military action. Russian military forces have launched a 3-day series of large-scale nuclear drills amid ongoing tensions with the West. The exercises involve coordinated maneuvers with Belarus, signaling a show of force during a period of intense drone warfare. These drills serve as a strategic warning to international observers regarding Moscow's nuclear readiness. Chinese President Xi Jinping is welcoming Russian leader Vladimir Putin to Beijing for high-level talks. Following recent meetings with Western leaders, China is using this visit to project a role as a stable global power broker. The summit is critical for Russia, which seeks economic and diplomatic support from Beijing to sustain its current geopolitical position. Russian forces have struck a critical port facility on the Danube River as part of a massive, ongoing aerial assault on Ukraine. Moscow claims to have intercepted several Ukrainian drones during the operation, which marks one of the most sustained attacks since the conflict began. The strikes have caused significant infrastructure damage and continue to threaten Ukraine's ability to export goods. Rescue teams have recovered the bodies of 2 Italian divers from deep within an underwater cave system in the Maldives. The recovery operation was carried out in hazardous, deep water conditions following the pair's disappearance. Authorities are now investigating the circumstances that led to the fatal accident during the dive. The son of the founder of the fashion giant Mango has been arrested in Spain on suspicion of homicide. The arrest follows the 2024 death of his father, who fell 320 feet during a mountain hiking expedition. Investigators are re-examining the circumstances of the fall to determine if foul play was involved. A NATO fighter jet successfully intercepted and destroyed a suspected Ukrainian drone that drifted into Estonian airspace. This marks the first time NATO has taken such defensive action against a stray drone during the current conflict. The incident highlights the growing risks of accidental escalation as airspace violations continue to occur near the border. Israeli Minister Bezalel Smotrich has ordered the immediate demolition of a West Bank hamlet following reports that the International Criminal Court is seeking his arrest. Smotrich claims the ICC prosecutor is targeting him with a warrant, prompting this aggressive policy shift in the West Bank. The move has drawn intense scrutiny regarding the intersection of international law and Israeli domestic policy. The Israeli government is facing a potential collapse due to a bitter internal divide over the conscription of ultra-Orthodox citizens. Current legislation exempting this group from military service has reached a breaking point, causing friction within the ruling coalition. If a resolution is not reached, the government risks losing its parliamentary majority and being forced into early elections. California's nonpartisan fiscal analyst has warned that the state is ill-prepared to handle future economic downturns under Governor Gavin Newsom's current budget. The report highlights a disconnect between projected spending and available revenue, leaving the state with limited reserves. These findings suggest that essential services could face severe cuts if the fiscal outlook does not improve. Former British official David Blunkett has released a set of proposed additions for an alternative King's Speech. The suggestions focus on legislative priorities he believes the government is currently overlooking in its formal agenda. These proposals aim to spark public debate on social policy and the direction of the current administration. President Trump is actively utilizing the mechanisms of the federal government to challenge the political influence of his liberal opponents. After a century of liberal expansion within federal agencies, the administration is now restructuring these offices to align with conservative objectives. This shift marks a fundamental change in how federal authority is applied to domestic policy. In a Kansas City speech, J.D. Vance promoted his vision for revitalizing American manufacturing through aggressive trade and industrial policies. During the event, he also took a direct shot at Representative Emanuel Cleaver, escalating partisan tensions. The speech was intended to galvanize voters ahead of upcoming legislative battles in the region. Republican leaders are scrambling to negotiate a budget deal to prevent a looming federal government shutdown. The party is looking for ways to bridge internal divides over spending levels to ensure that government agencies remain open. Failure to reach an agreement could result in a disruption of federal services and significant political fallout. The mayor of Henderson, Nevada, is warning that a failure to extend the local parks tax would have catastrophic consequences for the city. The proposed tax is essential for maintaining green spaces and funding public recreational programs. Local officials argue that without this revenue, the city's quality of life and property values will suffer significantly. The president of Latvia has officially tasked an opposition leader with the responsibility of forming a new government. This move follows a period of political instability that hindered the previous administration's ability to pass key legislation. The opposition now faces the challenge of building a coalition capable of addressing the nation's economic and security concerns. India has seen the fall of its final remaining left-wing state government, ending a 5-decade trend of socialist regional power. The loss marks a major shift in the political landscape of the country, reflecting a broader move toward right-leaning national politics. This transition is expected to lead to significant policy changes in the affected state. José Antonio Costa is confronting a complex political environment that requires him to look beyond his traditional focus on law and order. While security has been his primary platform, critics argue that his long-term success depends on addressing broader economic and social issues. Costa must now broaden his appeal to maintain his standing in the evolving political climate.